Good day. This is Lateesha with Soul Spread Wisdom. And today I want to continue to talk about being on your path to victory. And this time I want to consider, we were talking about reprogramming the mind. And I have 2 podcasts on that. And this is still in the same line of reprogramming the mind. But this one is talking about the energy of forgiveness versus the energy of unforgiveness. Oftentimes, when we have been hurt or wronged by someone, we easily can fall into unforgiveness as a false sense of protection. When someone has hurt us deeply, we want to punish them by not forgiving them, by holding on to what it is that they did to us, and holding on to it by letting it cycle through our minds over and over again, the wrongs that were done. By talking about it, sharing it with people, how you had been victimized over and over again. And before we know it, years and years may have passed by, and we are still holding on to what was done in the past. Still telling the story of how they hurt you and how you cannot forgive them. But in fact, if we are to ascend, if we are to actually achieve victory, and when I am talking about victory, I'm talking about ascending on the path, on a spiritual path, so that you can hear clearly what it is your direction is that you should be going, and be able to walk that path so that you can be a servant leader. So that you can do what it is, use your greatest gifts, walk towards your north node, use your sun energy, whatever it is that you look towards. And I say that because I am an astrologer. And oftentimes people are really focused on the north node energy and walking their path. But this is a huge deal that will keep you from ever achieving that north node energy. And this again is unforgiveness, because when we are dealing with astrology, when we are dealing with walking our path, all of it is energetic. Everything that we are thinking about is an energy that is created. And within that energy is a vibration. And within our minds, with our minds, we are creating our world and universe around us. And could it be possible for us to hold on to an energy of unforgiveness for anyone, for any wrongdoing, and still ascend and have a higher vibration that would enable us, equip us, empower us to be servant leaders, that would equip us and empower us to walk our path? Could we have true victory if we have unforgiveness, this energy of unforgiveness as a part of our mindset? I say it is not possible. And the reason I say that is because in order for us to walk our paths to victory, to achieve true victory, and to achieve a state where we are on our path and there is a liberty and there is a freedom, and we are on path with doing what it is that our soul has come to do, there has to be a high vibrating energy operating within our minds and within our lives. And unforgiveness is a very low vibrating energy. What does that mean? When energy is low vibrating, that means that it moves slowly. It is on the lowest part of this earth plane. And when we talk about ascending and walking our path to victory, it is that we want to ascend, elevate, go higher, so that we are more available to be used by Spirit to serve other people. And that is what opens up the doors and the avenues for us to be able to successfully achieve our path, achieve our goals, and be one with victory. But any energy, any vibration that is spinning lowly on the earth plane cannot take us to a place of victory. We cannot achieve what it is that our souls have come to do when we have a low vibrating energy attached to our mind, because it is with our mind that we elevate ourselves to a place of being able to walk the path of victory. An energy of forgiveness is lightweight. It is of the higher rungs and the higher planes. And that is where we would have to ascend to and elevate to in our minds and in our energetic fields in order to be able to be fully successful and accomplish what it is that our soul has come here to do. So what does it matter if I know that my North Node is in Sagittarius in the 5th house? If I am stuck in unforgiveness of something that happened to me in my childhood? If I cannot switch and change to forgiveness and release that person, there is no way that I would ever be able to achieve that North Node energy in my life, or be able to tap into the sun energy to the fullest. I may be able to tap into it in part, but I will be pulled back because unforgiveness is such a heavy and dense and low vibrating energy. It is a ball and chain tied around both of your ankles, keeping you from being able to elevate higher. And interestingly enough, when we are attached to unforgiveness, we think I have a right to hold on to this because they did this to me. I have a right to not forgive them. And if I forgive them, then they will no longer be punished for what they did. And I want them to continue to be punished. But in fact, they are not being punished. You are being punished. We are being punished if we hold on to that energy. And it is when we look to Jesus, when we look to the Bible stories, we look to the scriptures. Jesus said when he had been taken to the cross, because Jesus understood, he was an alchemist. He understood how to transmute energy so that he could go higher. And he knew that forgiveness was key. He had been beaten. He had been humiliated. He had been spat on for no reason. And he said, forgive them, for they know not what they do. This is the energy of ascension. This is the energy that will allow us to elevate higher so that we can manifest in the earth realm the things that we are supposed to, that we want to, that we need to. But if we stay in this place where we feel that we are entitled to mentally punish another for what it is that they have done, then we only bind ourselves to the darkness, as opposed to freeing ourselves so that we can move to the light. And some people feel that if I forgive them, I mean, there have been some people that have done some horrendous and horrible wrongs. Absolutely, they have. People have been raped. They've been molested. They've been wrongly convicted. The list of wrongdoings go on and on and on. And each person on the planet has been wronged by somebody to a greater or lesser degree. And if we forgive them, it does not mean that we have to be in communion with them. And sometimes it's not good for us to be in communion with certain people, because their energy is vibrating so low until we don't want our energy to be pulled down. We don't want to be pulled into the darkness with them, because they don't have an elevated mindset and an elevated energy. But alone in our room, or wherever we are, with our mind and with our words, they don't have to be anywhere around. We make the decision to say out of our mouths, I forgive John Doe for what he did to me. I forgive him and I release him, and I send him love and light. And that's the end of it. And what you have done is released yourself from the darkness of the ball and chain, and immediately elevated yourself that much higher so that you can achieve the victory that you want, so that you can walk on your path, so that you can elevate lighter and higher and move yourself up the rungs to elevation. I think about Tyler Perry, the billionaire Tyler Perry. When he first started and he was doing all of his plays, every message, every play, the message would be forgiveness, 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 forgiveness. He talked about it. He talked about how he forgave his father and someone who in his family sexually abused him. And he talked about how he forgave them. And I guarantee you, Tyler Perry would not be a billionaire today had he not forgiven them, because money is energy, and money being drawn to you is either energetically opened or energetically blocked. And for him to be able to attract billions of dollars to himself, billion with a B, he had to forgive them. He had to release that low vibrating energy, or he would not have been able to attract that type of powerful energy to himself. Because that type of money, or money in general, is just, it is energy that is moving. It is a current that is moving. And with the amount of money that he has brought in, he is operating on a high level. He is operating on a high energetic level. He's able to move himself into the higher spiritual rungs to be able to attract that type of money. And it cannot be done if he is attached to a ball and chain of dark energy of unforgiveness. And it has afforded him a level of freedom that you will never have if you refuse to release the person from the bondage of your mind. Because that is where the bondage is. It is in your mind. But the person themselves, they can go on with their lives, or the person may even be in the grave. It was I think of, right now, I cannot think of his name. I don't know why I can't. He's very famous. He passed away about 4 years ago. A very famous speaker. And he talked about, he was very successful, wrote millions of books. And if I said his name right now, you would know who he is. I hate that I was unprepared with his name. But he talked about how he was struggling. I think he was in his 20s. He was maybe 27 or 28. He was struggling in his life. He had been in foster care. He had, his mom couldn't afford to take care of him. His dad had abandoned him and so forth and so on. So life was terrible. He was an alcoholic and he wasn't really able to pull his life together. Not until he went to his father's grave and said, I forgive you. I forgive you for abandoning me. I forgive you for all of the pain of my childhood, for you not being there. I forgive you and I release it. And on that day, he said that he felt a weight lifted off of his shoulders. Why was that? He felt the weight lifted because it is an energy and it has a weight to it. Though you see it not with your eyes, there is a weight to it. It has a vibration. It has an energy. The thoughts of our minds are entities that are created. And the words from our mouths are entities that are created. We give life to it with our words and with our thoughts. And the simple fact of the matter is that when he released his father, when he forgave him, he set himself free. And he went on to be able to write countless books, made millions of dollars, spoke all over the world, and changed so many people's lives because he was able to be on his path to victory and achieved it because he understood that he was creating his life with his mind and his words and the energy that he was releasing from his mind and his words. There is another, and I'm not going to say their names, but you probably know who they are. There is a comedian, very famous comedian, Oscar-winning comedian, African-American, and a talk show host, very famous talk show host. And this comedian has been upset with this talk show host because the talk show host brought her mother and brother onto her show without her permission years ago. And she went on a tangent. She went on a campaign to bring forward what had been done and how she wanted an apology and how this was not right. And for years and years, this has carried on and it has been public. And she refuses to forgive the talk show host. And in this, she has crippled her career. Crippled it. To at this point, no one will hire her. No one wants to see her work. And ultimately, she is somebody of the past. And it is because she would not forgive. She would not forgive and release what happened. And it has cost her her career. And to her, perhaps she feels that this is justified. But think of all of the people that could have been helped by her work, her gifts, and her talents. Had she forgiven this situation and moved on and used her gifts and her talents to bless other people, to serve other people as a comedian and an actress. But she chose not to. And the other person has gone on. The other person is not held in bondage because she won't forgive. She continues to climb. She continues to go on, continues to serve and do her assignment. And that is what we have to do if we want to achieve what it is that our soul has come to do. We have to release. We have to forgive. And when I say a false sense of protection, there is no protection for you in unforgiveness. There is no protection. If anything, you are open to more darkness and dark energy that will do nothing but drain your energy, steal your life force from you, and possibly shorten your life. I had a situation in my life. This is the last thing I'm going to share, and then I'm going to go. But my mother, God bless her, I love her. She passed away in 2016. She was in an abusive relationship for 38 years. And I had so much unforgiveness in my heart. It was eating me alive. I couldn't even think straight. For her spouse that she was married to, who was the cause of her death. And I had so much unforgiveness towards him. Again, I could not move forward with my life. I couldn't think straight. I couldn't sleep. I wanted him to pay. But I wanted him to pay in my mind, like, because I was taking up so much mental space and so much energetic space with this unforgiveness and hatred for him. And, when I would talk to people about it, when I look back, when I would talk to people about it, no one was on board with me, because there was such a dark energy that was emanating from me. She had passed on, and I was holding on to this darkness and this blame and this unforgiveness for him. And it was hurting no one but me. He was going on with his life, and I was the only one that was still left with the pain and the physical it showed up in my physical appearance because I was so unhappy. That energy, that dark energy was just all over me. But one day I heard she is I think a Buddhist monk. And I wish I knew her name yet again. But I heard her one day talking about forgiveness and the power of forgiveness. And it was so beautiful what she said. And so I followed her lead. She did like a guided meditation. And I released everyone in my life who had hurt me. And there was so much lightness that I could feel at that moment. It was such a weight off of me. I was laying in the bed on my back. And it was so much weight lifted off of me. I felt so empowered and so clean. I took a card. I got some blank cards that had some kind of print on them that looked really nice. And I wrote to him, to my mother's widower. And I wrote to him and I said, I bless you. I just want to write you and tell you that I bless you. I forgive you for everything. I forgive you for my childhood, the trauma of my childhood, the things that happened with my mom. And I said, I know you did the best that you knew how to do. And I said, I forgive you and I release you. I send you love and light. And I sealed it up and I took it to the house. He didn't know I was there. I didn't ring the doorbell, and I dropped it in the mailbox and I released it. On that day, I released it. And that was in 2017 that I did that. And since then, I must say, I have not allowed myself to pick up that ball and chain again. There have been other people that I have had to release in forgiveness because I am determined to walk my path towards victory. But that particular situation, I am thankful that I was able to do that because it was eating me alive, mind, body, and soul. So I thank you for listening today. And I just encourage you to embrace forgiveness, transmute the unforgiveness, just change it, release it in your heart and mind, out of your mouth, release it, release the person, and walk on your path towards your victory.